What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here, live for your Week 9 NFL picks. Of course, a little bit different. I'm not live right now, but I appreciate you guys tuning in here on the premiere of the Week 9 picks. Before we get started, guys, and before I break down each and every Week 9 pick, make sure that you do Gronk. Spike that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new for weekly NFL picks every Wednesday night. Also, Gronk spike that notification bell to be notified when I am live for my live streams each and every Sunday, guys, because we stream 2 games on every single NFL Sunday. Then you might also get a Thursday night, a Monday night. Every once in a while, I'll mix it up with you. But we are here to break down every game, give you a preview of every game. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Mitch Milani, and on Instagram, you can follow the channel at TheBottomLineView, where you can get some exclusive content not found here on YouTube. All right, enough of that. Let's get to the picks. Let's get it going. Let's get it rolling. Great Week 8. Let's see if Week 9 can follow it up with just as much entertainment. We start off with Thursday Night Football, the New York Jets, 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 and the great Mike White versus the Indianapolis Colts at home after a rough, I'm talking absolutely brutal loss to their rival, the Tennessee Titans, at home in OT. The Jets, Mike White, Ty Johnson, called him an animal, a dog. Well, you know what? A dog's not going to be barking on Thursday night because I got the favorite. The Colts at home, Thursday, must win. If the Colts lose, guys, they are out. They're out. No more Colts. You might as well cross them off for a chance of winning their division, for a chance of making the playoffs in the wild card. Cross them off if they lose to the Jets. And they might actually derail and go off the rails if they lose to the Jets, because it's the Jets. But, you know, they beat the Bengals. That was pretty impressive. I don't think the Colts, after a loss, the way that they lost, because I felt like they were the better team for a majority of the game versus the Titans, they're going to be more buttoned up. They're going to be prepared. They're going to be motivated. They're going to commit to setting a statement here. And I think the Jets will be a little bit too high on themselves after that win versus the Bengals. It's just the way human emotion is in the NFL and the way it affects the NFL. So that being said, I will take the Indianapolis Colts to win. I will take the Indianapolis Colts, as you can see, the scores are back, to cover. I've got the Colts to cover here, 27-13 over your New York Jets. I think this game could be fairly entertaining at the start. I think there will be more intrigue than some would have thought at the beginning of the week, or probably 2 weeks ago, given that Mike White put on such a performance. I'm sure Thursday Night Football will be hyping up Mike White and all that stuff, and probably hyping up the underdog Jets. But at the end of the day, what we're going to get is a, from start to finish, dominant performance from the Colts. And the only way this is competitive is if Carson Wentz plays like Carson Wentz, which means hold on the ball too long, fumble it, throw a pick, make a bad play. There might be one of those in there, but I don't think one is enough for the Jets to upset the Colts. So I got Colts in dominant fashion here. Next, we have my New England Patriots at the Carolina Panthers in, I think, probably one of the low-key interesting games of the week. I believe both of these teams are 4-4 so far, although one of them has a lot more hype right now. And I will admit, the Patriots, after their win versus the Chargers, everybody and their mama and their papa and their uncle and their auntie are jumping on the Patriots bandwagon. And you know what? I'm going to sit here on my high horse and say, yo, no, you're not allowed. I didn't allow you to jump on the bandwagon. You're not allowed unless you're a Patriots fan, unless you are a certified member of Patriot Nation. I will not allow you to jump on the Mac Jones bandwagon and the Patriot bandwagon, because all of you haters doubted the Patriots. You wanted it to be the Patriots after Tom Brady left. They're never going to be anything. Well, you know what? The Patriots are back. And once again in this game, they will win. They will go to 5-4. The Patriots this season, road warriors. I believe they've yet to lose on the road. They are favored by 4 here. I think understandably so. Who are they facing at quarterback? Sam Darnold. Who does Bill Belichick see ghosts? Make see ghosts. Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's going to see more than ghosts. He's going to see scarecrows, reapers, bats. He's going to see all of them. He's going to see all of his nightmares come true, because I think the Patriots have a real pass rush. The Patriots are not just a top 10 team for me, but they are top 10 in both pass. They're top 10 in both points for and points against. I almost said pass defense. That's not what I meant. Points for and points against. Patriots are top 10. So yes, they're a 4-4 team, but I think they're better than their record suggests. Panthers, on the other hand, have some troubles on their offensive line. They haven't been able to get DJ Moore going. Robbie Anderson got hurt last game. I don't think McCaffrey will be back. The defense is good. I think they will give the Patriots some troubles up front with getting potentially a pass rush on Mac Jones. So it's very important that the Patriots are effective on early downs to avoid those third down situations. But the Patriots aren't afraid of going on the road. They just went to LA and won. I'm going to take New England to win. It's going to be one of those grinded out, handily winning this game. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be grinded out, but it's going to be a comfortable sort of win that never feels like they're going to lose, but the score isn't going to be like a huge blowout, if that makes sense. So I think New England's defense is the reason they win this game, and they win it 23-10, covering the 4-point spread. I just don't think Carolina can score a lot of points on this defense. I'm going to be fair and honest. All right. We got the Cleveland Browns at the Cincinnati Bengals. This is in Cincinnati, the Battle of Ohio. The Bengals, man, they lost to the Jets. I get it. Everybody wants to throw them in the garbage after that. But I'm not going to overreact to the Bengals losing to the Jets. What still looked good for the Bengals in that game? Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon. This offense still looked phenomenal in that game. And that's what matters to me. The defense will bounce back. Especially playing an absolutely off their rocker, terrible, trash offense the way they're playing right now, Cleveland Browns. Baker Mayfield, his shoulder is a mess. I don't know why he's playing right now. If he still plays in this game, it's even more confident than if the Browns were to start Case Keenum. Baker looks horrendous. Not to mention, you throw into the pot, OBJ is frustrated. OBJ knows he's open, knows he needs targets, and they're not giving it to him. Jarvis Landry is half the player out there. He's constantly hurt, playing hurt. You got to respect the heart, but he's just not the same guy. Nick Chubb's coming off an injury, didn't look like the same player last week. Will he this week? I don't know, especially versus a Bengals team that can defend the run fairly well. Not saying the Browns can't run it all on the Bengals. They certainly will, but I don't think that's enough to beat a good team. The Bengals have a real offense, and the Browns' defense has consistently been overrated. Yes, they looked better last week versus the Steelers. But whenever they play a good quarterback, a good receiving core, an actual offense, they get diced up. I think the Bengals will throw the ball effectively, run it well enough, and I just don't see the Browns, the way they're playing offense right now, being able to keep up. Baker is not consistent enough. His arm, his shoulder is causing him to miss consistent, easy throws. And I can't back a team with that type of quarterback play and that type of inconsistency and that type of inner turmoil. So I will take the Cincinnati Bengals. I think they have a bounce back performance here, coming off of a loss versus a team they shouldn't have lost to. This is an emotional young Bengals team. And emotional young teams, they're up, they're down. They're up, they're down. And when you're really up, that's when you're going to be really down. But when you're really down, that's when you're going to be really up. Trust me. So I got the Bengals to win this game over a Cleveland team I just don't think is good enough offensively right now. Give me the Bengals 24-17, and I think it could be worse. I'm just not willing to say it. So the Bengals are at home, although I don't think that matters as much because I think there will be a lot of Browns fans there as well. So Cincinnati, to win, to cover. The next game is the Toilet Bowl. We got the Houston Texans at the Miami Dolphins. Tua is the quarterback. Hey, this is pretty funny because Tua, after the trade deadline, was not traded. And the quarterback that was supposedly going to replace him, Deshaun Watson, well, Deshaun Watson did not get traded to the Miami Dolphins. But who are they playing? The Houston Texans. That's pretty funny. I don't know. Maybe it was just meant to be. I'm not going to spend too long on this one. The Texans with Davis Mills are the worst team in football, and it's not even particularly close. On the other hand, the Dolphins are a bottom 5 team in football, but they're not the Houston Texans. That being said, I still think it will be somewhat competitive because the Texans have shown life at times, but I am a little bit concerned about the Texans. They've traded a lot. They've traded a couple players away, some veterans. Omenihu goes to the 49ers. Mark Ingram goes to the Saints. I don't think there's a lot of fight there left in the Texans given their record and guys like Brandon Cooks, tweeting things that he's tweeted out. I feel bad for Brandon Cooks, by the way, that he didn't get traded. Miami, on the other hand, I think there's a similar story. Like Miami, are they starting to question, Tua isn't really the guy because everyone keeps saying he's going to be traded. What's the belief like in the locker room of Miami? What's the belief like there? Does Brian Flores have these guys playing at 110%? I don't know, but I'll still take Miami. They're at home. I think they'll win. I think they'll cover. It's hard. I guess I'll take them to cover. I have them winning by 7 here. And if I had to lean either way, I'm going to take Miami just because Houston is so bad. But I wouldn't even be mad at you if you took the points with Houston. I'm not going to lie. That just speaks to how bad Houston is, that Miami is favored by 6.5 over them. I mean, that's embarrassing. That is embarrassing. All right. Next, the Denver Broncos at the Dallas Cowboys. I think Dak will be back for this game, but I'm not 100% sure. Given that Dak didn't play and Cooper Rush beat the Vikings in Minnesota on Sunday Night Football. Now, maybe some of that is like the Vikings not having a lot of tape on him. The Vikings kind of not playing with enough energy because Dak wasn't in the game. There could be some of that, and then Dallas kind of took them by surprise and ended up winning it. That could definitely be something. But I think either way, Dallas, the line suggests Dak is playing. I will say that much. The line suggests Dak is playing versus the Broncos. But I will say, I think they would win with Cooper Rush too. So I don't think that changes my pick straight up. It would only change my pick versus the spread. I would take the 10 if Cooper Rush were to play. Now, my score for this is suggesting Dak plays. I'm going to take the Cowboys 31-17 over Denver. I think Denver is a team that beat Washington last week, but they're not in a good spot. They're 4-4, but they're probably the most fragile 4-4, the most fraudulent 4-4 I've ever seen. And Vic Fangio, this defense is underwhelming. Von Miller is gone. Their pass rush is severely lacking versus a very good offensive line. That's a trouble. The Broncos secondary is good, but they just put Bryce Callahan on the IR. The pass game might be slowed a little bit for Dallas, but they can rely on Zeke. They can rely on Pollard. They can run the ball versus a Broncos team that's very runnable against. And then you've got the other side of the ball. Teddy Bridgewater, he's just Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know anything else to say. And the receiving core is a bit better for Denver now, but Noah Fant was put on the list. You know that list. Denver has more talent than the way they've been playing, to be honest with you. But they have yet to beat an actual real NFL team and yet to even really come close to doing so. I don't think that starts in this game. Give me Dallas 31-17. Give me Dallas to cover. This might be a consideration for best bets. I don't think it was on my initial card, but I might have to rethink it because it does feel like this is a spot Dallas could blow out the Broncos. Then again, Dallas might be riding a high to the point where they might have one of these games where they do play not their best football, because that just does happen during the year, and that might be why you take the 10. But I'll take the 10 with Dallas to cover. Then we got the Baltimore Ravens and the Minnesota Vikings. Baltimore favored by 5.5 here. I like Baltimore. Now, this I don't think is an overreaction to Minnesota's loss versus Cooper Rush. I hope it isn't. Okay? I think Baltimore is a good team. I don't think they're a great team, but here's the thing I like about Baltimore versus Minnesota. Minnesota's on the road. Bad offensive lines don't travel well. Baltimore's coming off a bye. Minnesota played in a game, Sunday Night Football, very big spot for them, and lost. That has to take a significant hit to their confidence. Now, maybe they come out with an edge. Maybe they come out with more effort. That could possibly be the case. But Baltimore is well rested, and Baltimore is coming off of a loss to the Bengals where they have a lot to correct and a lot to be angry about. I don't like betting against Lamar Jackson. The Vikings are not very good versus the run. They lost to Neil Hunter, their best pass rusher, best defensive lineman. That's going to hurt. And that would be a way to get to Lamar and make it a close game, but that's not the case. The Vikings corners are not very good, and they're not very fast, which means Marquise Brown's going to have a day. Then we've got the other side of the ball where if the Ravens stop the run of the Vikings on early downs, which they're top 5 versus the run, they can then send their heat and their blitz packages after Kirk Cousins in a bad offensive line. So overall, this is a matchup I like the Ravens, especially at home where they've been very good this year. Give me Baltimore minus 5.5 to win this game by at least a touchdown. I think Minnesota is going to start their decline here. I was on Minnesota early in the year, before the year. I thought they would be better than they are. I think it's time for Zimmer to go and probably Cousins to go to a new team. I've got Baltimore 27-17 winning by 10. I think this might be the shocking not the shocking upset, but the shocking blowout of the week. Next, the Las Vegas Raiders at the New York Giants. This is a team in the Giants that I usually like getting points. I took them on Monday night. I won some money on them on Monday night, getting 10.5 over the Chiefs, which I thought was ridiculous. Even though the injuries of the Giants suggested, maybe the Chiefs could cover that at home. But the Giants played so dreadful and still covered that game versus the Chiefs, which is amazing. They almost won, actually, not just covered. They covered by like 7.5 points. But now they play the Raiders, a Raiders team that I think is actually better than the Chiefs. And the Raiders are only favored by 3 here. The Chiefs were favored by 10.5. Now, this game's in New York. The Raiders have to travel across the country, but there's things that actually favor the Raiders more so than the Giants. The Giants are coming off a Monday game, so that's less rest, playing on a Sunday. The Raiders are coming off a bye. The Raiders playing 2 good games in a row versus the Broncos and the Eagles where they dominated and their defense played well. What I also like about this game for the Raiders is their pass rush is under the radar pretty good. And the Giants' offensive line is dreadful. Dreadful, especially at tackle, especially without Andrew Thomas. Maybe they get Saquon back. I'm thinking Shepard's probably going to be out given his injury, and Tony will be in. Golladay might be back. So there might be some new talent for the Giants to throw to in this game, which might make their offense a little bit more of a threat. I do think this game could be close because I respect the Giants' defense. But I think the way Derek Carr has been playing, the Giants don't necessarily have an expert, great defensive line pass rush of their own. It's tough. It's tough. I could see the upset, but I don't want to bet against Derek Carr and the Raiders off of a bye, the way that they were playing pre-bye. The Henry Ruggs situation scares me maybe a little bit. Another distraction for the Raiders. I got to take the Raiders. I was considering this early to be a best bet to take the Raiders, just given the spread difference between the Chiefs being favored by 10.5 over the Giants and the Raiders being favored by 3. And considering the Raiders have played better football this year than the Chiefs. So overall, I will take the Raiders, and I'll barely take them to cover, but I do think this could be a potential upset. I don't really know why. Other than the fact that I think the Giants have a good secondary, they've got some good interior pass rushers, and I think their offense, when they have their weapons, are dangerous. The question is, will they have their weapons? And the other question is, will that Monday night short week with the bye be too impactful to overcome? So I got the Raiders just barely over the G-Men this week. They survive. Next, the Atlanta Falcons at the New Orleans Saints. Saints coming off their Super Bowl win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which does scare me when it comes to covering the spread this week. I think this is going to be a very interesting game when it comes to how New Orleans looks offensively without Jameis Winston. Will Taysom be the guy? Will Trevor Siemian be the guy? I think probably Taysom being the quarterback in this game would be the better way to go, given that Taysom's beat the Falcons in the past last year. But, they could roll with Trevor Siemian as well. I don't know the status of Michael Thomas and when he's coming back. I just think a lot of things in this game favor the Saints. Their run defense being able to slow down Atlanta, put them in third downs. It's in New Orleans. The fact that the crowd is very loud. Matt Ryan's not a mobile quarterback. He's going to be eaten up in the pocket. There's no Calvin Ridley to really stress this secondary, this defense. Kyle Pitts will likely see double coverage. If not, he'll see Chauncey Gardner-Johnson a lot, Malcolm Jenkins a lot. He'll see some of these guys that are pretty good in coverage. And then maybe even Lattimore at times. He could see him as well. I think Alvin Kamara could run the ball in this game. And I like the way that Sean Payton was operating his play calling and his passing game versus Tampa Bay versus not a good secondary in Atlanta. I think he could do similar things. So I think the Saints win, but I do caution that this could be a letdown spot after a big win over the Bucs. I'm going to go with the Saints to barely cover 20-13, but I would not blame you for taking the points. This does seem like a lot of points for a team with lacking offensive weapons and lacking a quarterback. So probably taking the points is the smart way to go, but I'm just not willing to do it with an Atlanta team that doesn't have a lot of weapons to stress a good defense in New Orleans. Next, the Buffalo Bills at the Jacksonville Jags. I'm going to keep this short and simple. The Bills blow out bad teams because they're a good team. And more often than not, the Bills cover. So keeping it simple, Josh Allen is a top quarterback in this league. Their defense is one of the best in the league. Jacksonville, I just think, is completely outcoached, completely outmanned here. I'm taking Buffalo in a big way, 42-20. I think the Jags get some garbage points at the end, but that's about it. So give me Buffalo to have one of their classic from the last 2 seasons. They constantly have these wins where they just punish bad teams and they continue to run up the score. Give me Buffalo by 22 in this game. Next, the Los Angeles Chargers at the Philadelphia Eagles. I think this was 1.5. It started, I think, at like 3.5, which is surprising. I think this is a spot where the Chargers get back on track. They've lost 2 games in a row, but they were to actual good teams, guys. I don't think they're going to lose to the Eagles here, right? The Eagles, yes, they've got a decent run game. They don't have a great running back, but they got a decent O-line that can run the ball, and they ran the ball in Detroit. So that's, I think, what we're looking at here. But I don't think their passing game is good at all. And I think the Chargers, the more they see tape, the more that they see these things, And remember, the Chargers did a good job at slowing down Lamar running the ball. It was more so the running backs. So maybe the Eagles get it going, but I think where the Eagles struggle here is to stop the Chargers. I think the Chargers can do a lot of things here. I think if the Eagles play two safeties deep defending the Justin Herbert deep ball, I think the Austin Eckler can get the ground game going. I think Jared Cook could have a pretty big game. The Eagles don't really have like a Kyle Duggar or that type of guy where they can take the tight end out of the game. I don't think they necessarily have a matchup for Keenan Allen here. Like maybe Darius Slay can match up with Mike Williams, but I'm not sure who's matching up with Keenan Allen. And Eckler out of the backfield for Singleton or Wilson could be an issue. Like, I just don't think they have the personnel New England has, where New England's defense, Baltimore's defense, both similarly built with strong secondaries, can handle the Chargers. The Eagles are different, and I don't think their defense is able to do that sort of stuff. Then on the flip side, I just don't think Jalen Hurts can make the necessary pass plays to keep up in this game. So I think the Chargers, this is a sneaky, weird line by Vegas, which usually indicates something, but I think it's wrong. I think the Chargers at this moment in time are being slightly undervalued because they played two teams in the Ravens and the Patriots that are bad matchups for them. So give me the Chargers to win and to bounce back 27-20. We'll be fairly competitive, but because I think the Eagles can maybe chew some clock, run the ball, and that way keep the score closer. But I'm going to take the Chargers to get back on track. This is still a playoff team. The Eagles are not. The Chargers win. Now this game is funky because I don't know what's going on with Kyler Murray. I don't know if he's going to be in or out of the lineup. And that to me means I have no idea who I'm picking. But you know what, guys? I'm picking the Niners. I think they're at home here. I did not like what I saw from Arizona's run defense last week versus the Packers. The Packers offensively basically run a Kyle Shanahan offense. I think Shanahan's going to have that film. I think Shanahan's going to utilize that film to his advantage. I like the way Jimmy played versus a Bears defense that's similarly built to the Cardinals in terms of good front seven, bad secondary. And I think Deebo Samuel's uncoverable. Brandon Ayuk's getting it going. George Kittle could be back. Remember, this Niners team lost by a touchdown where they very well dominated the game there. They could have easily pulled off the upset over the Cardinals in the first matchup, but they had Trey Lance, who made a couple of key mistakes. And the Niners couldn't convert a couple key fourth downs. I think with Garoppolo in there, it brings more stability to quarterback. They actually have more of an identity offensively now with Mitchell at running back, who I don't know if he played in that game. I think he did. And then defensively, the Niners have done a good job versus Kyler Murray. Every time they play him, they do a good job because they have athletes up front. And it's hard to outrun Nick Bosa if you're Kyler Murray. But I don't even know if Kyler's going to play in this game. I actually don't think he will. So if that's the case, I mean, this could be a Niners blowout. So I'll take San Francisco, assuming Kyler plays 24-20 in an upset to start their wild card run. Because I did say on the bottom line, the weekly NFL review every Monday night after Monday Night Football, that the Niners will make the playoffs as the 7 seed. And I think it starts here with a win over the Cardinals. I don't see the Cardinals sweeping him this year. All right, before the big breakdown of the Green Bay Packers and the Kansas City Chiefs, which everybody has as their game of the week, guys, I do want to give a quick shout out to Underdog Fantasy. All right, sign up right now to Underdog Fantasy with the code BLV, and Underdog will double your initial deposit up to $100 in bonus cash. You can deposit as little as $10 on Underdog Fantasy right now, and they'll match it. Now, you personally should, at least I would, deposit $100, because then you get a $100 match, then you got $200 in your account. Underdog Fantasy, guys, I'm telling you, this is my personal favorite. Like, I'm not BSing you. I love Underdog Fantasy. I'm on there every week playing my pick'ems. I'm on there before the season. Best ball is the best. I mean, I love best ball in fantasy. They've got daily fantasy too, basically, you get on there. You can play weekly contests. I'm telling you, Underdog Fantasy, everybody's on there now. That's the place to be. If you're a fantasy footballer, you should be on Underdog Fantasy. Or if you're just an NFL gambler, you want to have a little action in the fantasy space, or a little different way to bet with your pick'ems, that's the way to go. Underdog Fantasy, this is a great offer. I mean, you could, $100? I mean, take advantage of it right now. Use the code BLV at Underdog Fantasy. Good guys there over at Underdog Fantasy. And a lot of people, I'm sure you heard of them because a lot of people love Underdog Fantasy in the NFL community. All right. We've got the Green Bay Packers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Green Bay, Kansas City. Kansas City, for some reason, I was just looking at this right now. I'm like, I forgot Kansas City's favored. Can somebody explain why? Okay, Green Bay is better than Kansas City. Do I have to get it through your fat skull, NFL? Sports books? Green Bay's better. Rodgers is better than Mahomes. LaFleur has outcoached Reed this year. Aaron Jones is better than their running back. Adams has played better than Hill, although I'm a Hill guy, And Kelsey's a shell of himself. The offensive line favors the Packers. The defense favors the Packers. The special teams is pretty close. Yes, the game's in Kansas City. Stop overrating the Chiefs. They beat the Giants, who played like doggy doo-doo, by 3. Give me Aaron Rodgers. He's got Tay Adams back. That's the difference. 31-27. I think the reason I like the Packers here, you could essentially say, oh, maybe this is a big spot for the Chiefs to get back on track, as we're saying every single week. But I think the big matchup that the Packers can win this game with on the road is through running the ball with their 2 running backs. The Chiefs are not very good versus the run. A.J. Dillon, Aaron Jones can get it going, and when they need to play in the pass game, just throw it to Devontae Adams because the Chiefs have nobody to cover him with. I don't get this. Another thing that favors the Packers edge rushers and their defense is they've got good safeties. Adrian Amos, Darnell Savage in the lineup, very good, cover a lot of ground. They're very fast. And if the Packers want to go with their quarters coverages, if they want to go with their match coverages and play that way, it could be effective. They're not going to get outrun there. They got to be careful with Tyreek Hill for sure, but that's the only guy they got to really watch. And then, on the other hand, they've been good at containing these quarterbacks. Just watch Kyler Murray on Thursday Night Football and how they contained Kyler Murray. They could do the same thing to Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is running out of pockets where he is secure. So if you just contain him, patty cake, and get to him when he leaves the pocket, that's going to force pressure because Mahomes is seeing ghosts right now. I got the Packers 31-27. Could be worse than that, but it's in Arrowhead. It's the Chiefs. I'll give them a little bit of respect to their offense because they should score, but I just don't think the defense is going to slow Rodgers very much. Then we got the Tennessee Titans and the LA Rams on Sunday Night Football. The spread surprised me a little bit. The fact that it was 7.5. Now, I don't know how much of that is Derrick Henry. I think if Derrick Henry were playing, it'd probably be like 5.5. Maybe 6.5, 6.5. I think he's probably 2 points-ish, 1 point, 2 points. Here's the thing because 7.5, I think is a 7 and 7.5 is a big difference from 6 and 6.5. And 5.5 to 7.5 is a significant difference because you're crossing 6, 6.5, 7, and right. So in the NFL, key numbers, right? There's key numbers that the NFL lands on. 3 is a key number. 6, 7. Sometimes you can include 4. But like 7.5, the difference between that and potentially a 6 is a big deal to me too. So like, I don't know what the spread would have been. I don't know what the look-ahead line is. If anybody knows, let me know. But I feel like there is a difference without Derrick Henry. I think this is too much. Like, it feels like too many points. It does feel like too many points. I still think the Titans are a pretty decent team, and I still think they can move the ball. Now, there's some energy playing into this where I'm not really probably going to be betting on the Titans because Von Miller's arriving in LA. It's in LA. It's Sunday night. Now the Rams are in this mode where they feel they can win the Super Bowl. So there's all this momentum, plus the Titans trying to figure out who they are without Derrick Henry. So there's a lot of this stuff that I don't think is playing in the Titans' favor. What was my score? What did I give this score? I got 30-20. So I do got the Rams covering, surprisingly enough, even though I think this is a lot of points. Just on the surface, it feels like too many for a Titans team that's, I think, 6-2. But it's without Derrick Henry. And the question is, the reason I'm staying away from this game as a bet is because I don't know what the Titans are. I don't know what they are without Derrick Henry. So I can't really bet on either side here. But I've got the Rams. I think the big thing here is the Rams should score. The Rams should be able to take advantage of a weak cornerback position. Cooper Kupp should have yet another good game, and I think it helps for fantasy owners that the Titans should score on their own right, so they make it, more so that Cooper Kupp's going to get a lot of catches. Robert Woods, I think they have a more defined role for Van Jefferson, even though it kind of sucks that Tutu Atwell has been put on IR and Deshaun Jackson has been released, but I think Van Jefferson becomes their firm and locked in number 3 wide receiver. Tyler Higbee out there consistently. They've ran the ball well with Henderson, even though the Titans are a decent run defense. And I think the Titans, if they have Julio in this game, I might consider taking the Titans, but I don't think they might not once again. So I don't mean straight up. I mean with the points, by the way, if Julio plays. But I don't know. It's tough to bet against Matt Stafford, Sean McVay, the Rams at home in this spot, the way they're playing, the way that they feed off momentum. It's real tough. But this should be an entertaining game. I'm looking forward to it. Now, on the other hand, Monday Night Football is probably going to be a snoozer. It's probably going to be a pretty dull game, a pretty boring game. You got the Bears, you got the Steelers. Steelers -6.5. This, to me, feels like too many points. The only thing that scares me here is a rookie quarterback on the road in a primetime spot versus a good defense and a good pass rush. We saw a Tampa Bay defense that is similarly built to Pittsburgh, and in a lot of ways, Pittsburgh's been better this year than Tampa, dominate this offense. Now, Matt Nagy, I think, will be back as their coach, which is probably a negative, but Justin Fields might have turned the corner last week versus the 49ers, who also have a good pass rush, but that game was at home. So how much has Justin Fields gotten better? How much of that was circumstantial? How much of that was Matt Nagy not being involved? I don't know. I think the Bears defense can give the Steelers a lot of issues, especially if they're healthy up front and they can pressure Ben into some mistakes, which could keep the game close. But I could also see the Steelers benefiting from the home field in a primetime spot with their defense creating some turnovers in short fields. So ultimately, I have the score 17-12. I will take the points with the Bears. I just cannot take the Steelers offense to cover 6.5. I think it's too many, but I could see them covering versus Justin Fields because I am a little bit lower on him, especially when it comes to playing a good defense and a good pass rush where he holds on to the ball. I'm a lower on him than others, but I am still pretty high on the Bears defense. So I will take the points, but I will take the Steelers ultimately to win this game in a tough, rugged, old school game, 17-12 over Chicago. Those are my picks for week number 9. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to Gronk spike that like button. Also, head over to Underdog Fantasy. Use that code BLV. Remember, deposit up to $100 and you get a $100 match using the code BLV. It's Mitch. Enjoy week 9. We will see you for the best bets tomorrow on Thursday. Thanks for watching. Peace.